Hello friends, welcome to Career Plot. In this lecture, we are going to learn the basics or an overview of growth hacking. So before beginning to learn about growth hacking, let's listen to a bit of Hotmail story. All of you must be aware that there is a company called Hotmail, which is the email service and one of the first email services launched in around 1995. It was launched by one of the Indians called Sabir Bhatia during those days, and it was bought out by Microsoft. Now, one of the growth hacks they had put to grow their own company, right? Email was a new phenomena and people did not understand how to use email or how to send emails to other people, and internet was fairly new. So people did not know how to do it, how to sign up, how to discover it, even that Hotmail existed. And it was a new company where they did not have the founders did not have much budgets to run marketing campaigns. There were no search engines in those days, so they didn't know how to grow too much. There was no digital marketing, there was no SEO, there was no SEM. So they did a very small growth hack. With every email sent out in the early days of Hotmail, they actually had a post note done or a postscript done which wrote I love you, get your free email at Hotmail, and there was a link to the Hotmail website. And then after 1.5 years they had 12 million users when they sold to Microsoft, and this was a very high growth rate in the age of when the internet itself was not very popular and there was no SEO or SEM techniques. So this is called growth hack, where Hotmail grew from 0 to 12 million users in a very short span of time, which is 1.5 years, and with a small hack put into the email with a postscript note, right? And this is how we can define as one of the first growth hacks put up by Hotmail as a company. Now let's look at what is growth hacking. So growth hacking is the application of tactics and methodologies to grow the business exponentially in terms of user acquisition or in terms of product selling, right? So if you want to acquire a lot of users, if you want your new website to get too many users to your website and sign up and do some activity, you apply growth hacks. If you want too many users to purchase your product, you apply growth hacks. Any traction you want to get to your website has to be done through growth hacks. Now, growth hack can be a term, can be easily understood as a hack or a small technique applied to grow to a certain extent. Now, this is how you can actually understand the growth hack part. Now, typically, growth hacks are done to understand the hockey stick curve, because this is what people look at. Hockey stick curve is a typical graph drawn in mathematical world, which looks like very hockey stick, and that's why it is called as hockey stick curve. Is because when you launch a product, you are at 0, and then you are trying to scale a bit over a long period of time, let's say 1 year. So on the scale of 10, your profits are not very high. Which is profit is y-axis on this graph, and time is the x-axis, and then you're moving in the timeline for a certain time and nothing is happening, and then your growth hack is applied. So let's say after 1 year you applied a certain growth hack. If you take an example of Hotmail, which we discussed, you apply Hotmail hack after 1 year, and then the magic has happened and suddenly the company grew very upwards. In a very short time, it actually jumped up to a lot of profits. Now, profit here does not mean the money, but profit means the number of users or number of products sold, or any term which you can define as growth for your product, right? So this is how it is defined as hockey stick curve, and this is what most of the companies are after for, because if you achieve hockey stick curve, you are going to be exponentially successful and exponentially popular in the industry. So the magic happens at the turning point where you apply the growth hack. And this is why growth hackers are very popular now in the industry. There are even designations and roles specially created for growth hackers, typically. Now, what is the difference between growth and marketing, right? It seems like the marketing could have done this job, but is that the same case? There's a bit of difference between growth hacking and marketing. So let's look at that difference now. So marketing is based on certain philosophy, and growth hack is based on other philosophy, right? Let's define those philosophies. So we have 4 points to talk about, which is focus, goals, team, and influence, right? So on the focus, marketing impacts only 2 areas, which is called awareness and acquisition. So when you run your marketing campaigns, there are users who are aware about your product and they might sign up, and this is called user acquisition. Growth impacts the full funnel of the whole marketing program. For example, from awareness to acquisition to conversions and to closures, everything has to happen in growth hack. And this is how growth hack gets completed, right? So the focus is on the whole funnel. Then the goal of the marketing is about the number of leads to be generated, about the registrations done, about the downloads done. There are various measures you can apply for marketing. But for growth hack, there is only one measure called growth rate. That means that if I had users, number of users as 10, after a month, how many users are there? So we can define the growth hack as maybe a measure or a yardstick with a day on day, month on month, year on year, week on week. These are terms that every week, every month, every year, how are you growing? And what is the acquisition cost, or what is the number of users you are acquiring, or what are the products you are selling every month, every year? So this is the way you can measure growth. Then the third impact point is team, right? So marketing can impact itself, like marketing teams. It has influence, a bit of influence on engineering, design, product, but they generally live in silos. They work independently and then they give their marketing teams to give their feedback to engineering and design departments, to product departments, but they do work independently completely on their own. Whereas growth hackers work very closely with engineering teams and design teams and data teams, because they need to make changes in the product. They need to tell the engineering teams to change certain things. They might themselves need to write certain code or certain technical implementations to implement the growth hack, right? So they work very closely with the other teams, whereas marketing department works very independently with of the teams. A marketing department has a little influence on the changes of products. So marketing department gives a lot of feedback to the product teams or the development teams, but then it's up to the development team whether they take it or not, and then they have their own way of working. Whereas growth has a huge influence or a lot of influence on the product teams, because no growth hack can be applied until technology changes or it has been implemented by the product teams. So growth hacks generally do have a lot of influence. Now, having said that, both marketing and growth hacks are very important for any company, and they work very closely to each other, because growth hacks cannot be implemented unless marketing agrees with that and that this works, right? So both of them have to work very, very closely. Now, a typical growth hacker's job is very simple: to get more users to sign up, to get more products sold, to get more traffic on the website on that general scale, right? Basically, they're looking at only the conversions, that I want more and more people to buy my product, or I want more and more people to sign up on my website as free users, but this is my only job. So as a growth hacker, this is what I need to do. And it involves both tech and marketing. I need to write some code. I might need to write some implementation of product, and I need to understand digital marketing and all marketing philosophies to implement nicely. So growth hackers have the best of both the worlds. They understand marketing, they understand consumer psychology, and they understand the technology. So in this session, we learned the basics of growth hacking using the Hotmail growth story. We understood the hockey stick curve and how people look at hockey stick curve as the growth pattern and exponential company raise. And then we looked at the differences between growth hacking and marketing. Thank you.